Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash, for giving us the understanding of the Holy Bible through their men, beginning with the apostles and the bishops of Grey Millstone. These are the men that are worthy of double honors in the time that we're living in, which we're living at the very end of the world, in the sense of the Greek word eon or aeon, which means an age and a time period. And that's according to Matthew 24, verse 3, concerning the return of our Lord, Yahweh Shai, with the holy angels, and the end of this man's system, that man being the so-called white man, also known as the man of sin in the Bible, also known as Esau, Edom in the scriptures. And as it's written, 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 9, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Jacob represents our people, the Israelites, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as our people that are scattered amongst the nations that may not necessarily look like your typical Israelite. Anyway, with all that being said, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash, Barakatham to the 144,000 servants, as well as the remaining elect of Israel. Now I've got this article that I want to bring out. It's from www.governmenttechnology.com. And as you can see here in the headline, it's dealing with the microchip implant, which is the main subject matter that us here at Grey Millstone are going into and warning our people about, because this is a very serious topic. As a matter of fact, the microchip implant is the mark of the beast that our forefather, the Apostle John, saw 2,000 years ago in his vision, when you go to Revelation 13 and 16. And right now, our Lord, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, has set up his true men, the men of the Lord, beginning with the apostles on down, to give you Israelites out there warning concerning this prophecy. Okay, because what's going to happen is that the elite of this society, as in the central bank and families, they're getting ready to usher in and establish their new world order. Okay, and at the helm of their new world order is going to be this implantable microchip. And basically, if you don't have this chip, you're going to be excluded from society. Okay, these are the times that we're coming into. As a matter of fact, the time that we're coming into is known as what? The hour of temptation, pursuant to Revelation 3 verse 10. And the reason why it's going to be tempting is because, again, the way the elite are going to set up this new world order, which they're currently branding as the Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the way they're going to set this new world order up is that if you don't have this chip, you're not going to be able to participate in society. Okay, that's why it says when you go to Revelation 13 and 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay, and during this time, us as Israelites, and more specifically as the hopeful elect of Israel, we're going to have to put our trust and our faith in our Lord, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Okay, and that's who's going to protect us. That's who's going to provide for us, okay, during this time of temptation. So anyway, this is another article concerning this topic, the MOTB. It says, will 2026 see a ChatGPT moment for microchip implants? And again, us as the hopeful elect, us here at Grey Millstone, we're hoping that 2026 is the year. Okay, and if not, then guess what? We'll just keep waiting, through the Spirit, as it's written, Habakkuk 2 verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end, meaning at the end of the world, this current time that we're living in right now, at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it. Why? Because it will surely come, roughly paraphrasing. So, whether it's 2026 or not, we're going to We're going to patiently wait for our Lord's word to come to pass, but it's at the door. Okay, this prophecy, what the Apostle John saw, the vision, is here. Okay, we're just waiting for a black swan event to take place for them to make this thing mandatory. So it says, as Hollywood imagines our future, our brain and human microchip implants nearing a ChatGPT moment in 2026. Medical progress collides with privacy fears and state bans. Yeah, because right now, out here in America, you have, I believe you've got about 14 states that are taking preemptive measures to so-called ban, microchip implants, at the workplace and whatnot. But we all know that's just that's the government playing games, all right? Because at the end of the day, all these various different politicians, they're all down with the plans of the elite, one way or another, okay? Because they're all bought and paid for. So, don't think that just because they're banning, microchip implants in particular states, that's not going to come to pass. Okay, at the end of the day, this thing is going to go to the top, as in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to rule on this matter. Okay, just as Joe Biden said in that 2005 clip. Okay, to who did he say that to now? I believe it was to Chief Justice Roberts. Okay, he said that he would rule on the implementation of microchip implants. Okay, so let's see. It says, my wife and I have been enjoying the new Peacock TV series, The Copenhagen Test, over the past few weeks. IMDb describes the show this way. A first-generation analyst realizes his brain's hacked, allowing access to his senses. Stuck between the agency and hackers, he acts normal to reveal the culprits. While we haven't learned yet when or even if a chip was placed in the analyst's head, the first episode reveals that wireless signals are coming out of his brain and that someone can see and hear everything that he does. So I guess he's referring to this show that's on Peacock, which is a streaming service, and the show is called The Copenhagen Test. So maybe I'll check that out. If you got Peacock, check out what this episode is about, or this trailer. Let's see, science fiction or real life in 2026. I find that Hollywood fiction, though over sensationalized, often brings to life what is coming next regarding how technology will impact life. Yep, that's how Hollywood gets down. It's a thing called predictive programming. All right, as a matter of fact, let's go to chat and let's ask chat, what is predictive programming? Predictive programming is the idea that movies, TV shows, books, or other media subtly introduce concepts or events to the public before they happen in real life, supposedly to make people more accepting of them when they occur. It's often discussed in conspiracy theory circles, but there's no scientific evidence that media is intentionally used this way, whatever. Okay, as is written, 2 Corinthians 2 verse 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay, and there's definitely such a thing as predictive programming. all right, especially as it pertains to the microchip implant. Okay, a good movie to watch concerning that is what's that movie now? Demolition Man, which I believe Demolition Man came out, or that came out early 90s, like 1993 or something. They show you the chip in that movie. But anyway, point being is that, yeah, there is such a thing as predictive programming. And again, you know, all these Hollywood directors and whatnot, a lot of them are insiders and what you would call lesser luminaries. Okay. Anyway, let's read what this guy is saying. It says, I find that Hollywood fiction, though over sensationalized, often brings to life what is coming next regarding how technology will impact life. Put simply, people often understand these movies and TV shows better than what is actually happening in the real world. From War Games in the early 80s to Mr. Robot in 2015 to the Copenhagen test today, the people and process implications of new technology can become more real for viewers in these dramas. Meanwhile, headlines continue to progress regarding implanting chips in humans for various reasons. Consider these stories already published in 2026. The Debrief. Neuralink set to launch high volume brain implant production as competitors weigh in. Elon Musk's company Neuralink has announced plans to expand its brain computer interface BCI chip, the link to high volume production this year, which we know that the brain chip is what the Apostle John saw concerning the mark being in the forehead. Okay, that's what that's going into. Let's see what else. So that's one article. Neuralink set to launch high volume brain implant production as competitors weigh in. So you got that. Detroit News is another article. Altman's merge raises $252 million to link brains and computers. Merge Labs, a company co-founded by AI billionaire Sam Altman, that is building devices to connect human brains to computers, raised $250 million. So you've got this whole Silicon Valley race towards brain chips happening right now. You got this story from Fox News, as it says here, back in April 2025. Paralyzed man with ALS is third to receive Neuralink implant, can type with brain. And that's going into the miracles of this technology, which again ties in with what the Apostle John saw. Speaks about the miracles that's going into Esau's technology, in which again, you know, this microchip implant technology that goes in the brain, it can do all types of so-called miracles. You know, we would call it pseudoscience, but nonetheless, you know, there's been reports where the chip can cure blindness. Okay, it can restore movement in people that are paralyzed and whatnot. So that's how they're pushing this this technology. Let's see what else we've got here. Earlier this month, GeekWire released an article describing Washington State's efforts to ban employers from using dehumanizing technology, which I've done, you know, lessons in the past on this, you know, concerning these states banning the chip It says a bill introduced in the Washington state legislature would ban employers from requiring or pressuring workers to be microchipped, a practice lawmakers want to prohibit before it ever becomes an issue. And that's the House Bill 2303. So you can look that up in your own time. Like I said, we've done lessons on this in the past. And then he gives you just more articles, more links. Final thoughts. Let me just highlight this. Societal opinions are still all over the map on this topic of implanting microchips in humans. There is a widespread support of the use of implanting chips in humans for medical reasons and curing diseases. As I mentioned, this thing is going to be promoted as a cure for a lot of various different diseases. Okay, again, going into the miracles. Less support for just enhancing brain functioning to compete with or enable hybrid AI, and strong reservations and even bans being issued by state governments for the mandatory declarations from companies who could try to require implant chips in staff. One new area that caught my attention was a European report that discusses implanting chips for convenience in sending and receiving payments in a post-2030 world. Interesting. I've got to check that out. As a matter of fact, let's look that up real quick. The European payments landscape in 2030. Implants, embedded ethics, and post-payments world. Can technology help create a more equitable future for all? Interesting. So, yeah, I definitely got to check this out. Most definitely. Let's go back to this here. Okay, here's a brief excerpt from that article or that report. It says, for instance, more than half, which is 51% of survey respondents say that they would consider using a microchip implanted in their hand to pay, provided it hit certain criteria. If we break that down, 8% said they would be comfortable using it if its privacy measures were watertight. 23% if it was proven to be medically safe. And a fifth, which is 20%, simply said that yes, they would be comfortable using this payment method. The vast majority, 83%, think a microchip implant would make them feel like they are in a sci-fi movie, and nearly half, 48%, feel the chip would be useful if they were caught without cash or card. However, invasiveness and security issues remain major concerns. So according to this report, the majority of people are down with this technology. Okay, they're ready for it. Again, providing their privacy concerns is not an issue. It says, this report is alarming to me for several reasons, and it raises many of the religious and other privacy issues I have highlighted in previous articles about implanting microchips in humans for convenience. By way of quick summary, what often starts in society as optional or opt-in will later become default with an opt-out and eventually become mandatory for all. So I guess this is an opinion. This is an opinion from this article by the individual Dan Lawman, and this is dated January 18, 2026. So this is, some good information. What I'll do, Lord willing, is leave the link to this article in the box below. But again, point being is that this prophecy that we're warning you about, Revelation 13 and 16, is right at the door. Okay, and it's important that you Israelites out there get a full understanding of the time that we're fastly approaching, which is the hour of temptation. Revelation 3 verse 10, where it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, and this is the words of our Lord Yahweh Shai speaking unto the elect. Let me just grab it, which we know this off by heart, but for you newcomers, Revelation 3 verse 10 says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. So this is a promise that our Lord Yahweh Shai is making with the elect. All right, those of us that have come into this truth, those of us that have put our hand to the plow and remain, serving Yahweh Shai, and more importantly, doing his will. Okay, enduring. If we endure unto the end, the Lord is going to be with us, when this chip is made mandatory. Pretty much the Lord is going to keep us from taking the chip, and he's going to lead us to salvation upon Yahweh Shai's return. So it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which is basically the time of testing. Again, when the wicked elite of Esau, Edom, make this thing mandatory, make the chip mandatory in society, which shall come upon all the world. And when you look up this word world here, you're going to find a different Greek word. The word here for world is oikomene, which means the inhabitants of the earth. All right, so this is going to be a worldwide event to where people are going to have to take that chip in order to participate in society. It says to try them that dwell upon the earth. And the word try means to test. So again, this is going to be a trial of our faith, a time where our faith is going to be put to the test, and we will be tried. We will be tested. Certain of us may find ourselves in these detention centers where the chip is presented to us. That's pursuant to Revelation 2 verse 10. Certain of us may find our head underneath a guillotine, okay, pursuant to Revelation 20 verse 4. Certain of us are just going to be out there, off the grid, so to speak. And that's going to be a test, being homeless. But the point being is that Yahweh Shai is going to test our faith in them, okay, in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And the message is that, any of you Israelites out there that take this chip, you're going to be destroyed. And especially if you live out here in America, pursuant to Revelation 14 verses 9 to 10. And that destruction, that judgment, is going to come by way of thermonuclear missiles, ICBMs. Because in the midst of the elite making the chip mandatory, what's going to happen is that World War III is going to heat up to a thermonuclear level. And the Lord is going to use countries like Russia, North Korea, China, Iran, and various other countries that possess nuclear missiles. He's going to use these weapons as, not only to destroy America, but as judgment, for those that took this chip, primarily out here in America, because we know America, without a doubt, is going to be destroyed by way of those ICBMs. Okay, so anyway, that's the message. That's the warning pursuant to Ezekiel 3 verse 17. Isaiah 62 verse 6. And again, you're not going to hear this from any other camp besides Great Millstone. So you Israelites out there that are window shopping, you better get down with the program. Anyway, until next time, I'll say Shalom.